Long years. How are the nerves for the team boss Davide Brivio? Over to you, Simon.
Yes, first about the race, Davide, and then secondly about the championship. But about the race, your guys on paper really are fast enough to be on the podium, just like last week. But it looks so daunting from here on the grid, all the bikes in front. And what are your feelings? Are they going to get there or not? I don't know.
Yeah, it's the first corner is far away. And yeah, no, as you say, we have a good pace. They both feel comfortable. John was very comfortable yesterday. We didn't change anything for the race in terms of setting or the bike. And
you mean from last week?
No, yeah, from last week, yes. Because the conditions of the track are different and they require different adjustments. And but the problem is the starting position. So as always, I mean, it doesn't happen so often to start much in front. So that's a kind of a normal race. But of course, this time is an important race. So he has to try to recover as much as possible. First of all, the priority is to get out from the first 2-3 laps without any problems, any issue, and then try to pick up the pace and see where we can arrive, you know. And then let's see, and then we will see at the end. Of course, with this race pace, it would have been, I mean, if we would have been more in front, I would be more relaxed. But there is always the recovery matter that, let's see.
A couple of other things, David. This, the front tyre pressure, you know, when they're in a group, we hear so many people complain about the front tyre pressure going up. And I also saw the team working on Mir's front tyre pressure this morning, warm up, adjusting. What's your feelings on that?
Yeah, you know, now this detail are becoming very important, and yeah, this is something we pay attention. We always pay attention, and you have to try. The difficulty is that you have to fix some sort of starting pressure, but then it might vary a lot depending on the type of race. If you are in front alone or if you are on a draft, and so it's difficult to guess. You know, so that's always the gamble, no? You know, and whether, of course, now we start in 12, presumably we will have to stay in the draft a lot with the other rider, you know. So, okay, we take it into account that.
Last thing is, I know you say you never think about the championship, you think about the race. You must be thinking about it today a little.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I can't avoid. I tried not to think, but...
Sorry to remind you.
No, it's okay. I can't avoid. And so, of course, we know what we are playing today. We know that is a match point. We try not to think too much. We try to stay relaxed. But, of course, let's be honest, there's much more tension than the normal. I mean, more tension than normal, that's clear. And, okay, I hope to be better in 1 hour.
David, best of luck.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks to Davide Brivio. Thanks very much, Simon, as well. While we were just hearing from Davide, we're looking at a couple of riders on the grid who look really, really nervous. Joan Mir, I have to be honest, I've never seen him looking more nervous on the grid than he is right now. This is such a massive moment.
You can understand why the nerves are jangling. There are butterflies inside the tummy. It's the biggest day of his life, and it doesn't matter what you say, he has to be thinking about the championship. He can't just lock down, block it all out and go into his normal routine. He looks so pensive, so apprehensive. Tyre choice in Valencia last weekend was so crucial. It looks like everybody's going for that preferred medium rear tyre. A couple of different choices in terms of front tyre, but what are the thoughts pre-race of Michelin Motorsport manager Piero Taramasso? I'm delighted to say he's joining Simon on the grid right now.
Yeah, Piero, can you give us a bit of an idea what's happening? We know majority are looking at the medium rear tyre. I imagine same on the front, but I know the KTMs especially like the hard. What do you think's going to happen? Which brand? But also, do you think there's likely to be any last-minute changes and surprise us?
No, the situation is very calm. We have a lot of data from last week, from Friday and Saturday. Basically, all the riders, they are with the hard front and the rear medium. Yes, because the temperature is quite high. With the hard front, you get better support, a better consistency. And the rear medium is the best combination about grip and consistency. So basically, everybody is like that. Maybe 2 riders with a medium on the front, but basically the same for all the riders.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks to Piero Taramasso, thanks to Simon there as well. They did this last week, Suzuki, running around with a front tyre, trying to fool everyone.
Yeah, a bit of kidology going on, wasn't there? But are they dropping back to that medium front? Who knows? Only Suzuki know what's underneath those tyre warmers. Danilo Petrucci then, waving goodbye to the factory Ducati team. This time next week he'll be looking to bow out with some strong results. A lot of work to do today for Petrucci though. He starts from 15th place on the grid, back of row 5. A couple of fast Italians behind him as well, with a lot of experience in Valentino Rossi and Andrea Dovizioso.
There are the two Suzuki men and Fabio Quartararo. Then, of course, Rins and Quartararo locked on points, 37 behind Joan Mir. There are so many permutations. We'll keep you informed throughout the race of how Joan Mir could be crowned champion today. We've got all the graphics, everything lined up ready for you. Just a reminder that if he finishes on the podium today, Joan Mir, then you don't even need to look at any of the maths. He's champion. And if he ends today with 26 points more, he is world champion. There's more work to do for others than there is for Joan Mir.
Yeah, and while Joan Mir looks absolutely overwhelmed and overcome with nerves and tension, Franco Morbidelli just has a little amble up pit lane like he's just going out for a little Sunday cruise in the sunshine. Talking about the prospects of Petronas Yamaha SRT, many people's big pre-race favourite is Franco Morbidelli, and Fabio Quartararo, of course, still fighting to keep the championship alive. Let's hear the final pre-race thoughts of the team boss, Wilco Zeelenberg, with Simon.
Wilco, as Matt was just saying, Franco is many people's race favourite, and I've got to agree with that from what I saw. I'd like you to comment on that, but also Fabio, listening to him all weekend, but also last night, still wanting to try bike setup for warm-up. Did you find something?
Well, actually, we tried a couple of things, and but the bottom line, we did not really want it and get what we wanted, basically. So the feeling is not too bad, because he's up there with the boys. Even Johan is behind him, of course. But the feeling that what Franco at the moment has, he doesn't have. So that's a fact. And also, looking to the facts, Franco has done a great weekend so far, and he did his homework well. So hopefully he can bring it home.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, the very best of luck to Franco Morbidelli. He was absolutely awesome in the Grand Prix of Teruel. No one could touch him, no one could lay a glove on him. Will it be the same story for him today? And it's just all out attack for Fabio Quartararo. You know that he's going to give it his all, even if he hasn't got the bike underneath him to potentially come through and win. Those are the eyes of Alex Rins. The 42 Bakery inside his side of the garage will be hoping he makes a good start. Has he made a last-minute change front tyre-wise?
Great run of form right now for Alex Rins at the moment. Hard front, medium rear tyre, that seems to be the preferred combination for the majority of the grid. 3 successive podiums in MotoGP for the first time. A Suzuki rider has not had 4 successive podiums since the legendary Kevin Schwantz back in 1994. Of course, Alex Rins and Joan Mir could match that achievement in today's race.
It's no real surprise to see Miller go for that medium front tyre. He said straight after last week's race he just couldn't get any temperature into the hard front. The question is, can he make the medium front last race distance?
So clock ticking down, 6 minutes to go until this young man starts the biggest 27 laps of not just his MotoGP career, his racing life.
He's been in this position a few times already this year, has Joan Mir, on that 4th row. He was 10th on the grid at the Grand Prix of Andalusia. He came through to finish 5th. He was 11th on the grid, exactly the same position. 11th on the grid to finish in 2nd in the Grand Prix of Emilia-Romagna. And he was 12th on the grid, exactly where he is now at the Grand Prix of Teruel. And he came through to finish in 3rd. And if he does that again here today, it's all done and dusted.
Well, he's done the hard work, 7 podiums in the last 9 to get himself in this position. Can he get it over the finishing line now and become Suzuki's first world champion in 2 decades? What a way it would be for the Hamamatsu factory to mark their 100th anniversary. There was Tito Rabat, of course. Confirmation, sadly, that he'll be moving on to pastures new next season, with Enea Bastianini and Luca Marini coming into a split, a Sponsorama racing team next year, half of it being backed by Sky VR46 for Marini.
Here is Fabio Quartararo. He'd need something magic today in order to keep his championship hopes alive. No top 6 finish for him since his win in Catalonia. The BMW heads off 5 minutes to go until the race start. Just a couple of minutes left until the warm-up lap begins here in the penultimate race of 2020, a 27-lap race that could decide who wins this World Championship.
Looks like there's been a late tyre change. Fabio Quartararo has gone down from the hard front to the medium front tyre, and Stefan Bradl has too. So 5 riders planning to start this Valencia Grand Prix on the medium front. Every rider is on the medium rear slick.
I just wonder if Fabio's done that so that he can attack early on and he feels more comfortable. He hasn't got to wait for that hard to come up to temperature. It's going to be an exciting start. Remember, it's narrow, it's tight around Valencia. It's so difficult to pass, and a good start is imperative around here. There's a tricky couple of corners as well when there's a lot of riders around.
So the grid starts clearing. Has Joan Mir got a clear head and a clear run to the 2020 MotoGP World Championship? What's going through the mind now of Davide Brivio, who's done such an outstanding job since Suzuki returned to MotoGP in 2015? 5 short years later, and here they are now standing on the brink of glory in 2020.
It's match point in MotoGP. Here is your front row. Taka Nakagami, for the 3rd time in a row, is on the front row, looking for podium number 1 of 2020. Jack Miller, not been on the podium now since Austria, and looking for his first win since Assen 2016, and on pole position, looking for win number 3 of the season. Frankie is looking relaxed and will start on pole position here for the Grand Prix of Valencia.
Is it a mere formality that Joan Mir will be crowned the 2020 MotoGP World Champion? We're about to find out. 27 laps of the famous Ricardo Tormo circuit in Valencia. It's the first match point to the factory Suzuki rider. History beckons in Suzuki's 100th anniversary celebrations. Final words of encouragement, fist bumps from his crew. Jack Miller starting from the front row. The big pre-race favourite, Petronas Yamaha SRT rider Franco Morbidelli. He goes from pole. Front row with Miller is also Taka Nakagami. Fabio Quartararo, can he keep the championship alive until the final round in Portimao next weekend? The Yamaha man starts right next to Joan Mir, the champion-elect, on that 4th row.
The nerves jangling for Mir, not so for Miller. You've got to love Jack Miller. Rise of the eyebrows, a big smile on his face as he gets ready for this big old race coming up. Franco Morbidelli starting on pole position, the warm-up lap coming up. I cannot wait for this. Will we be crowning a world champion? Does this somehow go on to Portimao next week?
37 points is the clear advantage that Joan Mir, the 23-year-old Mallorcan, has going into this penultimate round of the World Championship. Barry Sheene, Marco Lucanelli, Franco Uncini, Kevin Schwantz and Kenny Roberts Jr. have all won world titles in the Premier Class for Suzuki. Can Mir add his name to that famous and illustrious exclusive list?
First things first, Quartararo has to be on the podium today, and then he has to be 12 points clear of Joan Mir. That's the only way he can go to Portugal with championship hopes alive. Franco Morbidelli is 45 points down overall. He's got to win. It's as simple as that, and he needs Mir to have a disaster. Franco, though, has got some great rhythm, and if he gets out front early on, he could just blast away.
Short odds favourite for success today, Franco Morbidelli. Do not discount some of the KTM threats coming from the 2nd row. Pol Espargaro, pole position to the podium here 7 days ago. Can he end his KTM career from the top step of the podium? He would love to do that, but it'll be all eyes on that 4th row. Fabio Quartararo and Joan Mir starting alongside each other. Alex Rins, the maths for him, keeps his title hopes alive if he scores 12 points more than Joan Mir. The maths and the equations, there's so many permutations, but it's pretty simple. If Joan Mir's on the podium today, he is our 2020 MotoGP World Champ.
As they head around turn 13, the countdown is on. They just have one corner left to make their way round to the grid. Here are your championship runners then. You can forget Maverick Viñales, you can forget Dovi. They just don't have the pace ready for this one. Joan Mir then lines up on the grid as the race winner here 7 days ago. If he repeats that, it would be something else. He would be world champion. How are his nerves heading into this one? And the same goes for Davide Brivio.
The live heart rate monitor's rocketed. It was 70 beats per minute in the warm-up. Joan Mir was a 3-year-old the last time Suzuki won the MotoGP World Championship.
27 laps in MotoGP coming up right now. Lights out in Valencia. Good start there from Franco Morbidelli, but here comes Jack Miller on the Ducati, and surely he will lead. Good start also from Pol Espargaro on the second row. Miller leads into turn 1.
Good start,
but
he's well.
wide, he's wide.
Miller's gone well wide. It was an excellent start by Alex Rins on the Suzuki. He's already got quite clear of Joan Mir, who's been picked off as Quartararo's just gone to the car park. Fabio Quartararo, an early disaster for him. He was out on the first lap last weekend with a crash at turn 8, and he's dropped to dead last, running well wide at turn 2.
Blimey, wide into turn 4 there was Nakagami. Miller's just gone through on Pol Espargaro as well. It's Morbidelli who leads. Quartararo's his championship just been blown there on the approach to turn 2 already.
Completely. That's game over surely for Fabio Quartararo, in way too hot. There is Mir then at the moment, mid-pack through turn 6. All safely done so far.
There is Joan Mir then, just behind Maverick Vinales, going through on Maverick Vinales and sitting up Maverick Vinales.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. This is where he wanted to be, just in the race now, in the zone. Try and just concentrate on what's ahead of him, work it out corner by corner, and then the championship will take care of itself.
Quartararo just picking off Tito Rabat there to make up one more space, but he's got all sorts of work to do now.
Quartararo was in so hot at turn number 2. He did actually well to stop it before he got to the fence. There is Mir then at the moment, on course to be world champion. The 26-point lead he needs to take to Portimao next weekend. That's exactly where he sits right now, with Franco Morbidelli keeping his end of the bargain by leading the Grand Prix.
Across the line, the complete lap 1. Morbidelli it is that leads then from Miller and Pol Espargaro. Just behind him, Nakagami. Oliveira made a good start. He's gone up 5 places. Here is Mir into turn 1. At present, Joan Mir, no real problem. 10th place would be fine as it stands.
Yeah, just what he would have wanted, Steve. A drama-free first lap. No problems, no close calls, no skirmishes. And that's exactly what he needed, just to settle those nerves. Now he can bed himself into the race. He'll be a little bit more relaxed now.
Cool, he was a bit wide into turn 4 though, as we were following him with the helicopter. There's Fabio Quartararo. He's now gone through on Stefan Bradl. He's up into 18th place. Brad Binder has gone through. He's up to 8th ahead of Aleix Espargaro.
Can you believe it? The man who dominated the first 2 races at the moment. 4th.
Oh, I hope you're okay there, Matt, as he... Looking back at the Yamahas, Maverick Vinales and Valentino Rossi are 13th and 14th. There isn't a 2020 Yamaha inside the top 12 at this moment in time. There is Brad Binder. He's just closing up on the tail of Alex Rins. So Alex Rins has made a good start. He's made up 7 places already in this race. Are you with us, Matt?
I'm back. I'm not quite sure what happened there. I was as nervous as Joan Mir on that last lap.
This is what happens to Fabio.
Oh.
He had nowhere to go. That's why he had to do that. It was so cramped and tight into turn 2 that he had to sit up and go straight on. We complete another lap here in Valencia. It's as you were at the front. There is Rins, just behind Johan Zarco. Fastest lap to Jack Miller at 31.7. That's faster than any lap we had last week.
Yeah, right now Mir still comfortable in that 10th place. Quite happy just to sit about a quarter of a second behind Aleix Espargaro ahead of him. Brad Binder there in 8th place. He's just put in another decent lap of a high 1:31. Only about a 10th away from the fastest lap there, Binder, so he's got good pace.
Through turn 4, which can be such a tricky corner to navigate. There is Zarco, Rins and Binder. Just behind them, Aleix Espargaro and the World Championship leader, Joan Mir.
The good thing here for Mir is that he's got nobody breathing down his neck. There's quite a decent gap back to Pecco Bagnaia, which is now around 0.8 of a second, so he hasn't got to worry about anybody making a daring move up the inside of him at this stage of the race, so he's quite comfortable in terms of the threat coming from behind.
Up towards turn 11, Pramac Ducati rider Jack Miller. He got the start he wanted, but he just went too deep into turn 1. And so Franco Morbidelli is in exactly the position he wanted to be in.
I was just about to say, can you believe Fabio Quartararo, having made such a strong start to the season, at the moment, Live Championship, he's dropping to 4th in the standings before the old vocal cords decided to go AWOL for a split second.
I know how bizarre it would be, and what a disaster it would be to drop out of the top 3 overall. Mir's just been given the information he needs. Great lap from Morbidelli, a 31.5, the fastest lap of the race for the race leader. Is this Morbidelli grabbing his ticket to say bye-bye?
That's Pecco Bagnaia making a meal of the first corner. He was well wide. It's creeping up, isn't it, the heart rate monitor? And Davide Brivio doesn't know what to do with himself, does he? He's just twiddling with his fingers, grabs the mask. He really doesn't know which screen to look at.
There is Brad Binder just up behind Alex Rins, who's not yet been able to find a way through on Johan Zarco. Franco Morbidelli has shown previously, you only have to look back at the Grand Prix of Teruel a few weeks ago, that when he's out front and he's in the mood and he's in the rhythm, he can be untouchable.
Yeah, it's almost like a Jorge Lorenzo style performance, isn't it, from Frankie Morbidelli? Poetry in motion. He's always a hard man to beat once he gets his nose in front. Jack Miller at the moment just under 0.4 of a second back. He's got about 0.3 then to Pol Espargaro. They're all ganging up now behind Taka Nakagami. It's Oliveira, Zarco, Rins, Binder, Aleix Espargaro, and Mir still sitting quite comfortably in 10th at the moment. He'd have worked it out in his head. He'll know exactly what's going on in terms of the championship, and he'll know he can see Rins, so he'll know that he's not a threat for the title. He'll know that Morbidelli's points at the moment are not going to threaten him as well. Quattararo up the inside of Alex Marquez, so that's another position recovered for Fabio after his off-track excursion on the first lap.
It's another 31.4 now from Franco Morbidelli out front.
Well, this is what the Yamaha can do, Steve, isn't it? When there's not a bike in front of them disrupting their high corner speed, fast lines, that's what they can do. The problem now for Fabio Quattararo is that, being mired mid-pack, he's in that risky danger zone of having problems with the front tyre pressure. It's happened to him before. It happened to Franco Morbidelli last weekend. I think 9 of Yamaha's 10 podiums this year have come from front row starts. If they can qualify well, the Yamahas tend to be in the game.
This is from Joan Mir. You'll see Fabio Quattararo bolting right in a moment. Oh yeah, he's trying to thread the needle there, wasn't he, Fabio Quattararo? And in all fairness to the Frenchman, he's probably trying to avoid a massive crash there into turn 2.
He did nearly torpedo Maverick Vinales, didn't he?
Here is your race leader then. Those long dark locks flowing out of the helmet that features his 2 nations, Italy and Brazil. Just behind him, Jack Miller. What we do know is if Miller can somehow get within a couple of tenths of him on the straight, then that's a battle Yamaha won't win.
Yeah, that big mistake from Pecco Bagnaia on the last lap at turn 1, that allowed Dovizioso, Vinales and Rossi through. The 2 factory Yamahas at the moment, though, are nowhere. Vinales 12th.
Here comes Rins. He had to make a move on Zarco, but he's gone wide and deep. Is he going to be able to hold on to it now on the home straight? Because that's a key move with Johan Zarco. Look how much speed that Ducati's got, though.
The problem now as well is for Rins running wide. He lost momentum and drive down the straight, and he's now got Brad Binder swarming all over his rear tyre.
Zarco's gone down. He's asked too much of the front end there, and he's crashing out into turn 1. The Frenchman will not be on the podium today.
And that's another point gain there, of course, for Joan Mir. Simon, some thoughts on turn 1. Is that a wind-affected crash, do you think, maybe?
Yes, exactly what I was going to say. I think the guys that are running wide there and that fall, it's because there's a tailwind down the front straight and the old usual brake marker is over the limit.
Yeah, good point, well made. Zarco out there, and that gives another place to Joan Mir. To further back, Fabio Quattararo as well. As it stands, Mir would have 27 points ahead of Morbidelli, which would be good enough to clinch the title this afternoon.
At least his crew chief, Frankie Carcetti, still able to stand in the garage and watch the action, Steve. I think you spoke to me a couple of times last weekend. He had to dip out the back of the pit box, didn't he, because he just couldn't watch.
Yeah, couldn't watch it. It's too nervous. He'll be nervous watching this right now.
Still got 21 laps and a bit to go in this one.
As you can see, on a lap or 2 ago, Miguel Oliveira made a move. He went through on Taka Nakagami, so Nakagami's dropped back a place. Now, with Zarco out of the equation, what can Alex Rins do? Can he find a way through and past Taka Nakagami? We're on board, though, with the World Championship leader.
We've talked so often about this young man, Joan Mir, having such a mature, wise old head on young shoulders. He's not in a position now that he's got to take big risks, and he's so smart, so intelligent and clever you don't feel like he's going to start taking unnecessary risks just to pick up a couple of places. Nakagami runs wide again, another rider then that's overshot turn one, that tricky braking zone with that tailwind.
Mir was the slowest rider in the top 10 that last lap with a 31.9. It was another 31.4 from Franco Morbidelli out front, whose lead now is 7/10.
Yeah, but he's just reeling off fast laps for fun, isn't he, at the moment, Morbidelli? Brilliant mid-pace in the 131s. Jack Miller, to be fair to him, is not that much slower. In fact, it's a whisker. Nothing between them, but it's just that little tenth that Morbidelli's able to stretch out of the Australian lap by lap, which means his advantage now, well, it's extending big time in this current lap number 7. Morbidelli already in the first 2 sectors has found 3/10 on Miller.
It'd be a frustrating rider to follow and try and chase Franco Morbidelli, because he just doesn't seem to really put a foot wrong anywhere either. Eking out that gap out front now to 8/10.
This will make him the joint top most successful rider in terms of wins this year, won't it, with Fabio Quartararo? So that'll be a bit of a scalp for Franco Morbidelli. All the talk we keep saying about what a wretched time it's been for Yamaha, their reliability problems, criticism coming from Quartararo, Rossi and Vinales about the performance of the 2020 bike. But Yamaha right now are on course for their 7th win of the season, way more than any other manufacturer.
Yeah, it is so strange, isn't it? Across the line here we go then to complete lap 7. If you're thinking, how are Suzuki's in this position today when they were so dominant last week? Well, they're lapping at the same pace here right now as they were last week. It's just that the pace has been upped. Back-to-back races at the same circuit, and these guys have all found a bit of extra speed. There are extraordinary pressures as well on the Suzuki riders, and particularly Mir. As it stands, though, Mir would win the championship.
How much of a hole did that mistake at turn 1 punch in Taka Nakagami's chances of a first MotoGP podium? He got dropped back down to 5th place, and he's at, what, 1.5 seconds behind Pol Espargaro now. Oh, the nerves have settled slightly then for Davide Brivio. The heart rate might have come down by a little bit, but still, at some point in the last 5 or 6 laps, it will be heart in the mouth for Suzuki as they edge closer to such a famous triumph.
Here is Miguel Oliveira, the Tech 3 rider, currently in 4th. Just up ahead of him, 1.3 seconds up the road now is his fellow KTM rider Pol Espargaro. Nakagami falling into the hands gradually of Alex Rins. Rins knows he's got to be on the top 2 steps here.
Something happens to Fabio Quartararo as well, Steve. He did a 33.6 on that last lap. Marquez, Petrucci and Bradl all got through on him. He's dropped back to 18th.
You've got to think it's all over, haven't you? Nakagami's just been given a track limits warning.
Well, one of those would have been for that massive off-track excursion at the first corner. Is Quartararo dealing with some kind of front tyre pressure problems? Who knows, hard to tell from the outside, but at the moment it's been a rather timid surrender of his title challenge. 18th place at the moment for the Frenchman. Can you believe how his championship really stuttered and stumbled? 7 of his last 9 finishes have not even been top 6s for Fabio Quartararo. Nobody could have imagined that, the way he started the season in such spectacular fashion.
They're all forming a bit of a queue here behind Miguel Oliveira. Alex Rins looks pretty desperate. We're on board with him now to get through on the LCR Honda rider Nakagami, because that gap's building between Pol Espargaro and Miguel. Track limits warning now. Oh, he's down, and that's it, it's over.
Oh,
it's completely over now.
It's been an absolute nightmare, no other words for it for Fabio Quartararo.
From top of the world in Jerez to rock bottom in Valencia.
Down and well and truly out. Turn 6 then has ended Fabio Quartararo's challenge here in Valencia. It's ended his faint hopes of keeping the championship alive. He'll have to regroup, come back stronger next year, and hope that Yamaha can put a more competitive M1 underneath him when he moves to the factory team next year. He was offline there a bit, wasn't he?
He was offline, and do you know what? Astonishingly, he actually drops out of the top 4 of the World Championship. He's 5th as a result of that right now.
He had an absolute horrendous time in the 2 Aragon races. He's had a nightmare here in both Valencia races. I mean, he crashed on the first lap last weekend, remounted to finish 14th. He's crashed again in the race here today.
As it stands, Mir would be the champion. The man who's chasing and catching Joan Mir is Andrea Dovizioso.
Yeah, he's taking big chunks of time out of Mir right now, isn't he, Dominic?
Mir was in the 32s on that last lap, rather worryingly. They're trying to get this bike fixed, but it doesn't really matter. It's all done.
Fabio Quartararo knew last weekend that the championship had gone. He pretty much admitted it. He said, of course, I'll fight until I'm completely out of it, but nothing has gone his way here this weekend. He said they've been so off the pace, so out of kilter with the setup. They've tried more changes this weekend than they did in the whole of 2019. Gives you an indication of how deep the hole Fabio Quartararo's been in this weekend. That deep, he's nearly struck oil.
Alex Rins desperate still to find a way through on Nakagami, but can't get through. The gap out front is 8/10 still between Morbidelli and Miller. Pol Espargaro still there, 6/10 behind Miller in third. This is the battle for fourth. Nakagami now trying to get on terms with Miguel Oliveira. Is there a move coming into turn 14? Yes, there is. Up the inside, it will be the classic block pass. And Alex Rins, very close to the action as well.
Lovely that by Taka Nakagami. And he's got the drive, he got the power down early enough as well to keep Miguel Oliveira behind him. It looks like he's got quite a big gap, 2 seconds he is behind Pol Espargaro at this stage of the race, although we've not even reached half race distance yet.
Vinales would still be in fourth in the championship as things stand. There's still no 2020 Yamaha inside the top 10. He's in 11th, just a couple of places ahead of his teammate Valentino Rossi. He's scrapping with Cal Crutchlow at the moment.
Jack Miller doing his utmost to hang in there, full credit to him. He's still doing mid-131s himself. It's just the fact that Frankie Morbidelli yet again is just that 10th quicker. Rins fires the Suzuki up the inside of Miguel Oliveira, so been a costly lap or two for Miguel Oliveira. He's yielded a couple of places, first to Nakagami at turn 14 on the previous lap, and now Rins picks him off at turn 6.
Yeah, starting to warm up a bit now, isn't he, Alex Rins? The problem he's got, of course, when he needs to finish on the podium, is he's got about 3 seconds to make up now. 17 laps to do it. Next on the list here, looks like Brad Binder might be having a go at Miguel Oliveira, who could just be running into a bit of trouble tyre wear-wise at this particular moment. Here's Aleix Espargaro, he's in 8th, on board now with Mir in 9th. Aleix is doing a good job holding on to a spot in the top 10, but is there a move coming here from Joan Mir? Is he about to move up to 8th? He's through the number 36 on Aleix Espargaro.
Perfect time to ride on board then with the potential future world champion. Joan Mir then now, he can barely look at the screen. He's got ruffled hair, he's been rubbing the hair, hasn't he now, Davide Brivio? 16 laps then now between Joan Mir and 2020 MotoGP glory. It's a 2020 that's ending in disaster for Fabio Quartararo. Andrea Dovizioso tries to get up the inside of Aleix Espargaro on the factory Aprilia. Aleix Espargaro was raging a one-man campaign to get Dovi to sign that contract. Fabio Quartararo then, he's going to be left to contemplate what might have been. The way his form has tapered off in the second half of the season, it's been really, really tough to see.
Yeah, it has. It's not been an easy read, has it? The end of that book. So 16 laps to go here. It's Mir's championship as it stands. He'd have a 28-point lead, which would be enough to wrap it all up. Dovi ready to pounce on Aleix Espargaro. This is the best speed we've seen from Dovi in a little while. Up towards turn 11. He doesn't fancy a go there. The gap now out front, Morbidelli has got up to 1.1 second lead, and that might just be a good night in terms of Miller's chances of winning this one, unless he runs into an issue.
Fabio Quartararo not where he wanted to be, defeated in the World Championship, and a frustrated spectator now for the remainder of this Valencian Grand Prix, having crashed out at turn 6. He had a disastrous start. The mistake running in hot at turn 2 as he tried to avoid Maverick Vinales, and then from there on he was really suffering. He dropped back to 18th. He was trying to recover positions when he went down the road. Joan Mir is doing everything that he could have asked to have been done so far. He's raced so smartly. He didn't try and make any risk getting through on Aleix Espargaro. He was quite patient, happy to bide his time behind the Aprilia man and then pick his moment, make the move when he was absolutely crystal clear, concrete sure he was going to be able to make it clean and stick.
It might get better for Mir as yet. Last lap, if he now with the clear air can catch up to this group ahead.
Franco Morbidelli's got his lead out to over a second for the first time then now.
Just wide there from Rins. He was a little wide, but he's managed to cut that back. Yeah, Morbidelli's just ticking off the mid 131s and he's staying there. There's just no answer from anyone at the moment. He's not making a single error. Miller is still second. Pol Espargaro is still half a second sort of hovering behind Jack Miller. Here is the battle that includes Nakagami, Alex Rins, Miguel Oliveira and Brad Binder.
There's a lot of blue on that virtual fan wall, and it's Fabio Quartararo fans that sadly are feeling blue right now with him down and out of the championship chase. Petronas Yamaha SRT honour now being held up brilliantly by this man, Franco Morbidelli.
No surprise to see that midway through this race, Nakagami's pace has just been upped. Look at that. Look at that. 31.7, 31.4, and all of them in between. I mean, that's just unbelievable pace and rhythm from the Italian.
Such a cool customer as well in this situation. He never looks like he's getting flustered. When he takes his helmet off in Parc Ferme, he won't look like he's broken sweat, Franco Morbidelli. He'll look like he could do another 100 laps, let alone 14.
Ramon Fagada there has seen it all before, though, hasn't he?
Yeah. I wonder whether Taka Nakagami might be left to rue that runoff at the first corner a few laps ago when he lost contact with this top three, because his pace, as Steve just mentioned, red hot, 3/10 quicker than Pol Espargaro on the last lap, but he's trying to recover now, 1.5 seconds back to the Spaniard.
It's happened a lot, hasn't it, this year for Nakagami? It's always been a little too late in his attempts to try and find the podium.
Mir's not been able to break away from Aleix Espargaro and Dovizioso once he got through on the Aprilia man. Andrea Dovizioso with a heart rate you'd think that Davide Brivio was having very, very shortly.
They round turn 14 and we're at the halfway stage of this race here in Valencia. 9/10 in it between Morbidelli and Miller. Miller's keeping him honest, that's for sure. This is Joan Mir, the World Championship leader, still in 8th place ahead of Aleix Espargaro on the Aprilia, and 10th is Dovi.
Taka Nakagami's doing a very Taka Nakagami job right now. Another personal best lap of his race, a 31.4 that time around, 4/10 quicker than Pol Espargaro, and now the gap down to 1.1 seconds, so there is big life left in Nakagami's podium challenge.
Cal Crutchlow here in 13th, just behind him Valentino Rossi, whose pace has just been up slightly, so he's been catching Cal on the last couple of laps.
Yeah, Rossi about half a second, 6/10 of a second away from the front running pace. These two, of course, huge experience. Cal Crutchlow ending his full-time racing career after Portimao next weekend. Of course, he'll be trying to help Valentino Rossi out next season as the official Yamaha test rider, one of the greatest British riders in MotoGP history. You think of the list of British MotoGP winners in the past: Mike Hailwood, Jeff Duke, Phil Reed, Barry Sheed, and Cal Crutchlow among those absolute legends from the UK.
On board with his teammate then on the last 3 laps. Look at the time he's taken out of Pol Espargaro. Taka Nakagami then trying to find his way onto a MotoGP podium for the first time. There's plenty of life left in this race yet for him to be able to catch down Pol Espargaro as they cross the line. It's a 1:31.4 again from Nakagami, so he's the fastest man in the field once more.
Yeah, there's now a bit of breathing space for Mir then, just ahead of Aleix Espargaro and Dovizioso. Still quite happy there, circulating in 8th position. Here's the 2 Repsol Honda men. Alex Marquez, who's going to be feeling very second-hand, a bruising, vicious high side yesterday, and he's wide into turn 1. That tailwind has caught out so many riders on the brakes at high speed. You're about 300 kilometres an hour in the braking zone for that first corner, and he'll be hoping that adrenaline can get him through the checkered flag here, the younger Marquez.
Nakagami's gap to Pol Espargaro 9/10 of a second. He's dropped to Alex Rins, who's just behind. Nicho Cecchinello watching on, desperate for his rider to get that first ever podium.
Yeah, there's been a couple of 4th places, haven't there, so far for Nakagami this year. He won't want to be the bridesmaid again in terms of the podium. He's got plenty of time, over 11 laps, to hunt down Pol Espargaro, as he's still got time and pace to really get in the battle potentially for second with Jack Miller.
Here is the gap for your own eyes. Franco Morbidelli with a 9/10 lead over Jack Miller and Pol Espargaro, and then it's the Honda of Takaki Nakagami. We actually have 5 different manufacturers in the top 5 at the moment. It's Yamaha, a 2019 spec, Ducati, KTM, Honda, Suzuki. Just behind then is Oliveira and Binder, then 2 seconds back to Joan Mir, the World Championship leader, who as it stands is still in line to wrap this one up. It's 8/10 now.
Yeah.
A round of applause there from Fonzi Nieto.
Yeah, Jack Miller's riding brilliantly at the moment. He's really keeping the pressure on Franco Morbidelli, trying to force the Italian into an error, which he's not too often prone to making, is he? But Miller then, still sensing that there's a race win up for grabs for him as well. 8/10 of a second the gap's come down to. It was up to about 1.5 just a few laps ago.
Yeah, he doesn't buckle very often, does he, Franco Morbidelli? He's about to be informed, I think, Frankie, on his pit board of what the situation is. Now, Yamahas have in the past been known to fade a bit towards the end of races, although Franco showed no signs of that in Aragon a couple of weekends ago. Jack Miller, of course, let's not forget, it's been some time since we saw him on the top step, that Assen win in 2016, but it was in those wet conditions, and how much he would love to stand on the top step for Pramac Ducati before he moves to the factory team in 2021. The gap down to 7/10 now.
Game on. Who could forget Valencia 2006, a certain Australian by the name of Troy Bayliss stepping in for the injured Tete Gibson.
Fastest lap of the race.
Wow, Miller's got some serious speed here then, and it's down to 6/10 of a second.
That's more like it. Dovi makes a move on Aleix Espargaro. He goes up 1 spot into 9th. Joan Mir, by the way, is closing on Miguel Oliveira as well in 7th, so Mir might yet make up another spot.
That 1:31.378 from Miller on 17-lap-old tyres shows just how brilliantly Jack Miller's riding right now. Absolutely sensational job by him. He's on that medium front tyre as well, which you've got to feel is going to wear that slightly faster than the hards that the likes of Morbidelli, Espargaro and Nakagami around him.
He's got to work for it though, hasn't he? He's really got to work for this, because as we've mentioned before, Morbidelli won't make this easy. Further back, he's dropped Pol Espargaro in 3rd. Pol's actually struggling at the moment. He's got his hands full with Taka Nakagami on his tail.
Nakagami, after that run off at turn 1, has regrouped exceptionally well, and at the moment he's eyeing one prize, and that's his first ever MotoGP podium.
Brad Binder has now gone through on Miguel Oliveira as well, so that's the reason why Mir's catching Oliveira. I didn't see that move, so Binder's now up into 6th place. He's now starting to lap well, as he did this time last week. Where do you look? We've got Miller 8/10 behind Morbidelli. Nakagami on course to try and fight for his first podium behind Pol Espargaro.
Well, this time last week it was Pol Espargaro 3rd, Taka Nakagami 4th. Nakagami desperate to make it a role reversal here 7 days later. He badly wants that first MotoGP podium. He's been so close on more than one occasion so far this year. He's really piling the pressure on Pol.
Out front, Morbidelli responded on that last lap. The gap stays at 8/10 and it's grown again to 9/10 in Sector 1.
Yeah, right now Mir in a relatively relaxing 8th place. He's 1.3 seconds behind Miguel Oliveira, and in turn he's about 7/10 clear of Andrea Dovizioso behind him.
Yeah, you're right, Matt. I mean, that's about as relaxed as it can be in a MotoGP race. He's not got any immediate company right now, which is good news for him, and probably good news for Davide Brivio's heart rate as well.
Well, I'm sure they would have run through all the calculations and permutations going into this race and told him exactly what he needs to do. But he knows that 8th place, perfectly good enough to win the World Championship. This is a great battle then now that's being engaged.
He's got so much grip,
He's
so
going for
much
it now.
rear grip.
He's going for it now, isn't he? This is going to be the move. Here he comes up the inside at turn 14.
He's down!
Oh!
He's down, and he almost wipes Pol Espargaro with him.
Taka Nakagami, can you believe it?
Another podium chance goes begging for Taka Nakagami. He had the speed, he didn't need to make the move there. with 8 laps to go. He had so much more rear grip than Pol Espargaro, but unfortunately, maybe the wind's played a part in it as well, but he's gone straight on and down and out, and he almost took Pol Espargaro with him.
Oh, Taka Nakagami. Oh, look at that.
Pol Espargaro did so well to avoid that.
Big chatter on that front end, trying to squeeze the front brake on, trail brake down the hill. And the front end just cried no more. Gravity took over, and it's another golden chance. Taka Nakagami, he blew it in Aragon on the very first lap from pole position. Look at that. They can't believe it. Down in Idemitsu LTR Honda. He was, what, third for about 5 yards and then dumped it.
What that now means is Mir is in 7th and would still be crowned champion with a 29-point lead. Is Morbidelli, though, going to stay in P1? The gap is 7/10 of a second. Jack Miller's trying everything he can to claw that gap back. There's 8 laps left. It's 7/10 of a second through Sector 3 as well. Could he become the 10th different winner of this 2020 season? He'd be a very, very popular winner, that's for sure.
It really would. It really would. Pramac Ducati boss Francesco Guidotti, he can barely look at the screens as well because his man's doing a magnificent job. It's been very much Thriller Miller so far. The gap 6/10. It's game on here in Valencia, folks. Franco Morbidelli, he's led right from the very first lap. Looks so good, but he's having to fend off the hard-charging Jack Miller now. Pol Espargaro, he's got a bit of a breather now. Taka Nakagami's dumped it at the final corner. He's 1.2 seconds clear of Alex Rins.
Coming up towards Sector 2 shortly, and we'll see what the gap looks like. Jack Miller chasing down his first win in Ducati colours.
Yeah, and this would be a first proper full dry race victory for Jack Miller, won't it? The 25-year-old Australian. They've had some famous Aussies do the business for Ducati down the years, particularly MotoGP. Casey Stoner, of course, Troy Bayliss, World Superbike glory as well with Troy Corsa. There's just something about Australians and the Ducati brand, isn't there?
He's so pushing that front end, is Jack Miller, trying to claw any half a tenth he can find here or there. He just cannot quite get into contention yet. There's time. How will Franco Morbidelli react? It's even more difficult to try and catch someone like Franco when he's not putting a foot wrong. You've just got to make sure everything you do is absolutely precise. Well, still 7/10.
At least Frankie can't relax. He's having to work pretty hard for this one today, isn't he? If he does win, well, he's had to put a shift in, that's for sure.
6/10 it is over the line. He's been told it's half a second, so let's see how he responds.
Absolutely nothing between the lap times of Morbidelli and Miller on that last lap. 31.774 from Morbidelli, 31.763 from Miller.
Everything a-okay with 6 laps to go for Joan Mir.
Fair play to Mir as well. He's still got pace in the high 131s. That last lap from Mir was only 2/10 slower than this pair, the men at the front of this Grand Prix.
A little bit further behind these guys, you can see Pol Espargaro. Brad Binder is actually closing on Alex Rins, so Binder trying to get his first top 5 for quite some time.
Miller's got it down to 0.4 of a second. It's coming down corner by corner. He's creeping ever closer towards Franco Morbidelli here.
On board with Jack Miller, trying to hunt down Franco Morbidelli to become the 10th different winner in 13 races, which would be a record in the Premier class. Up the hill we go, turning left through turn 13.
It's been very much the year of the independent team this year with Petronas Yamaha SRT.
He's gone really hot into turn 14 now. Wow!
He's got some trust and confidence in that medium front tyre. Ducati have never had an independent team rider win a MotoGP race. Jack Miller at the moment, the gap's come down to 3.5 tenths.
Is Morbidelli in any trouble at all? Because that's the first time I think I've seen Morbidelli in the 132s. It was a 31.7 for Jack Miller. There's 3/10 in it. There's 5 laps to go. The championship at the moment, it looks like it's going Mir's way, but we're focused on this battle for the ultimate win here at the Valencian Grand Prix. Jack Miller through turn 4. It's 4/10 the difference between number 21 up ahead there on the Yamaha in Petronas colours, Morbidelli, and the Pramac Ducati rider Jack Miller.
Yeah, this has been the best race from Miller for quite some time. He has looked absolutely awesome over this last 4 or 5 laps, continues to pile the pressure on Franco Morbidelli. Last time around, Miller was about 0.3 of a second quicker. And how deep was he able to brake and stop that Ducati into the final corner? Anxious faces, pensive faces down in Petronas Yamaha SRT. Ramon Ficada and Stewie Miller looking on to see if their man can fend off Jack Miller.
Well, what you want now is a heart rate monitor on Francesco Guidotti. Up the hill we go through turns 12 and 13. 5 laps remain. The gap's still hovering around 4/10. Will that come down when Jack's able to wind up his Ducati power onto the start-finish straight? Here he goes. Across the line now. Has Morbidelli responded? He has, a 31.9, and it was a 32 flat for Miller. It's as you were.
Paul Espargaro keeping Alex Rins at arm's length as well in 3rd place. Rins cannot just break it down to under a second to his fellow Spaniard. Joan Mir then 4 laps away from the best moment of his life. He's in a safe and solid 7th place. No dramas for him. In fact, he's closing down on Miguel Oliveira pretty rapidly right now, is Mir.
Coping with the pressure wonderfully at this moment in time is Morbidelli. The gap's just creeped up again to half a second. Miller's just trying everything, making all sorts of shapes, any which way you can find anything, and it must be so frustrating because Morbidelli just isn't making any errors at all.
Well, whatever happens, Jack Miller can go to bed and sleep well tonight, because he's extracting every single ounce of performance out of that Pramac Ducati, out of those Michelin tyres, and out of himself.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Both of these boys have been absolutely brilliant to watch out on circuit. Is there any sting in the tail to this MotoGP race? 4/10 again in it through Sector 3. No change behind these two. Dropping down into turn 14 then. Morbidelli creeps on the power of his Petronas Yamaha 2019 machine. Behind him is Jack Miller. There's now 3 laps to go. They're making numbers up on the pit board here to see whether Franco can cope with the pressure.
There is Joan Mir, then the helicopter shot, looking down on the man that now surely has 1 hand and 4 fingers on the MotoGP World Championship title.
Frankie Carcetti in the middle of the picture. He's nervous. He doesn't even want to look at the screens. There's 12 kilometres left between the MotoGP World Championship and Joan Mir at this moment in time.
23 years of work and sacrifice for 27 laps for Joan Mir, and he's so close now to a famous success for Suzuki. It seems such a long time ago. It feels longer than 20 years since Suzuki were last in this position with American Kenny Roberts Jr.
Alex Rins is going to have to cope with some last-minute pressure here from Brad Binder. It's championship over for Alex Rins in terms of fighting Mir. He could still yet finish 2nd overall. At this moment, he's got to defend the South African Brad Binder in the remaining few laps.
And a double top 7 for Suzuki, doing their bid for the triple crown, the world of good as well. Of course, they're top of the team championship. Suzuki on course to be Constructor Kings for the first time since 1982.
Is there going to be any change out front as they exit the final corner? There's now 2 laps left here in Valencia, and Morbidelli is putting on an amazing defensive display, but it's just 0.3 of a second now. That's the closest it's been across the line. Mir being told everything's fine.
Yes.
Don't worry, calm down, the championship will be yours.
Thumbs up, job done so far. He has not put a foot wrong, has he, Joan Mir? And under that helmet now, every little noise he hears, he'll be getting a little bit apprehensive, but he knows he's within touching distance of pure and utter delirium.
I'm quite nervous about this because Miller, you just know it will leave nothing out on that track at all. There's 4/10 in it, but it doesn't look like that. It looks like it's a lot less as they come through Sector 2 shortly. Can Jack Miller do anything about Franco Morbidelli out front?
Well, Franco Morbidelli is MotoGP's coolest customer. He needs ice coursing through his veins right now because Miller continues to try and get that elusive dry race victory for Ducati.
It's 0.2 of a second in it. And if Miller is this close onto the home straight, he's got a big chance of pulling up alongside him because there is a hell of a speed difference between these two motorcycles.
And Miller's been exceptional over the crest here through turn 12, up the hill through turn 13. He's had the better edge grip. He's looked so good, breaking down the hill into turn 14 on that medium front tyre. The drive now is going to be crucial onto this straight. And he's close, he's very, very close. Can he pick up some slipstream behind Morbidelli's Yamaha?
We start the final lap of the race here in Valencia.
Here
comes Jack Miller. He's coming through like a rocket, and he leads. Can he get the bike stopped into turn 1?
With the wind behind him and a bit of slipstream as well, he runs in wide. Can he hold it? Morbidelli's got the inside line for turn 2, but Miller leaves his braking extra late. No, Morbidelli pinches it back.
On the cut back, that was lovely. Morbidelli then is saying, I'm not giving this one up just yet. Miller, will he look into turn 4? You bet he will. Up the inside he goes.
It's a last lap humdinger here in Valencia. Jack Miller then. Morbidelli at turn 5. There was no room there, but he finds room. Brilliant. How aggressive was that from Franco Morbidelli? It's all on the line here in Valencia. Mir on the brink of the world title, but who will take the win here?
Awesome last lap already, and we've got another half of it to go. Mir's on his final lap. To MotoGP glory. I thought there was a move coming there into turn 8, but he thinks better of it.
Now then, Jack Miller. Is there going to be any way through? Can he be close enough to try and pinch the inside line through turn number 11? He's going to try and line it up through turn 10. Is he going to be close enough? Here he goes. Oh no! They almost touch. How close was that? Now then, will Miller be able to try and slipstream Morbidelli's Yamaha out of the final corner? Or is Morbidelli going to cling on to a brilliant victory here?
That was a clever defensive move from Franco Morbidelli into turn 11, and Jack's now got to somehow find any time at all. I don't think he's close enough. Mir's on the brink of the MotoGP World Championship. It's going to be a drag to the line for the race win. Who will take it? Out of the last corner, here comes Miller in the slipstream.
He needs some Ducati power.
He's not. Morbidelli wins in Valencia. Miller's second. Further back, Pol Espargaro will take third. And Joan Mir is the world champion of 2020 in MotoGP.
What a race in Valencia. Congratulations to Franco Morbidelli. Huge congratulations to Suzuki and Joan Mir. Ladies and gentlemen, there is your 2020 MotoGP World Champion for the first time in 20 long years for the factory Suzuki team. 23-year-old Joan Mir. The emotions, the tears pouring out. He is 2020 MotoGP World Champion, 7th place in Valencia, and he's done it.
That was incredible, absolutely incredible. Let's get a quick word from Wilco Zeelenberg before the celebrations begin for Mir.
Wilco, I was biting my nails. What was it like for you? What a ride.
Yeah, it was crazy race, you know, as I said in the beginning. If we can start and lead, we can also win this one. Everyone has last weekend, can we change the ball? I said we can win next race here in Valencia. Yeah, I'm so happy we did that. Big congratulations, thank you.
That was the best race of Franco Morbidelli's life. He fought everything for that, but this is the man it's all about now. We'll talk about Franco Morbidelli and Jack Miller very, very shortly, but the celebrations begin for this young man from Mallorca, who at the start of the season crashed. Then it was a fifth and it was another crash. He was over 40 points adrift, and he has turned it round in stunning, stunning form.
Just fantastic scenes. Thomas Comas, Joan Mir's personal assistant. You can see the tears of pure joy. There he is congratulating with Tito. But Francesco Guidotti, I'm sure, are very happy about the Ducati. His man Jack Miller threw everything to try and win that Grand Prix. What's his thoughts, Simon? You with him in pit lane?
I think I am, but I think the team owners just rang him. Francesco. Oh, okay, he's with the boss, sorry.
Here goes the World Championship winning T-shirt then for Joan Mir. It's the golden number 1, the first ride, of course, to win Moto3 and MotoGP World Championships. Vamos, come on, that's what he said. All the pressure, all the tension, that's all released now. It's just all unbridled joy for Joan Mir. Absolutely incredible performance throughout this season. I think that's his manager Paco Sanchez there as well with the bald head. And the celebrations, well, they're going to go long into the night here in Valencia.
Joan Mir then has done it. Boy, oh boy, did he look nervous on the grid earlier on. So congratulations to Davide Brivio, to Suzuki as well. That was an amazing race out front, and what a last lap from Morbidelli and Miller. But here we go. The fireworks here in Valencia. The gold helmet's on, the number 1 plate is on the bike. Suzuki have a world champion for the first time since Kenny Roberts Jr. in the year 2000.
A richly deserved 2020 world champion. Love that golden helmet as well. Look at that, the number 1, replacing the I in Mir. Absolutely awesome. Hashtag Mir with the 1 in there. That's going to be trending all around the world now. He made that match point count. Jack Miller, what an absolutely remarkable performance by him. He came within a 1/10 of a second of winning his second MotoGP race. We can see what it meant to Franco Morbidelli as well to hang on in such dramatic fashion. Alex Rins comes home in 4th place.
Incredible.
Wow, what an afternoon here in Valencia. Pol Espargaro, another brilliant ride by him. He's back on the podium as well. 5 of his 6 career MotoGP podiums have come in the last 9 races for Pol Espargaro. He's hit some serious form. Andrea Migno, Sky VR46 Moto3 rider, comes to congratulate Franco Morbidelli. Talk about resilient to pressure. What a ride that was. Magic by Morbidelli, magnificent by Miller. Incredible last lap.
2 of the most likeable guys in the paddock as well, really going at it, standing toe-to-toe in MotoGP.
There's tears inside that factory Suzuki garage as well. The fireworks have gone off, the smoke bombs have gone off, the marshals coming to congratulate the new world champion. As we said, richly deserved. He's managed to marry speed and consistency. As Steve said, recovered brilliantly from the early setbacks. No points in the first race in Jerez. Wiped out, of course, in Brno by Iker Lecuona. The first Suzuki rider title since Kenny Roberts Jr. 20 years ago in 2000. He's just tracking those fireworks going down the main grandstand, isn't he, Joan Mir? And they're on course still, of course, for the Triple Crown. It could get even better for the factory Suzuki team.
Brilliant stuff for Joan Mir. Franco Morbidelli's about to enter pit lane to raucous celebrations for the Petronas Yamaha team. It's his 3rd win of the year. It's the toughest win of the year. It was the best win of the year. And he's 2nd in the World Championship now as a result as well.
Spectacular stand-up wheelies coming in then from Joan Mir. This is the moment, the special moments that you work your entire life for, all the sacrifices that go on behind the scenes that we don't see. And what a way for Suzuki to mark their 100th anniversary. And as we mentioned before, here's that illustrious list of world champions for Suzuki in the past. Barry Sheene, Marco Lucinelli, Franco Uncini, of course, still so important in MotoGP. Kevin Schwantz in 1993, Kenny Roberts Jr.
And now Joan Mir adds his name to that list. 20 years later. It's a thumbs up and a burnout celebration for the Suzuki man. That 100th anniversary livery has got what it deserves in what has been an unbelievable season. The 2020 MotoGP World Champion Joan Mir. The virtual fan wall is there. The Suzuki fans stick their thumbs up and they give him a big round of applause. And Joan Mir jumps off his motorcycle and says a big thank you to all of the fans and celebrates in front of the virtual fan wall. To all of you watching at home, we hope that we have you in the grandstands again someday soon so that you could witness something like what we just did here. He gives the front of that GSX-RR a massive kiss. It has been simply the most unbelievable year.
Yeah, and just quickly flicking through social media already. Class act Marc Marquez has already tweeted his congratulations to the new MotoGP World Champion. Family members and friends of Joan Mir in Parc Ferme, they're overcome with emotion, as you would expect. What a moment in this young man's life, and what a future he has in the MotoGP World Championship in Parc Ferme, ladies and gentlemen. is your 2020 MotoGP World Champion. There's going to be some raucous celebrations from the factory Suzuki team long into the night here. I'm not sure when they're travelling to Portimao. Maybe they'll be delaying that trip. There'll be some hangovers and some headaches, but they will not care one jot.
Joan Mir, look at how much it means to them all. I mean, we've seen some celebrations from these guys over the last couple of months, but they're nothing in comparison to what I think we're going to see tonight.
And what about the tough times for Suzuki? They went into self-imposed exile, didn't they, for 3 years? Came back in 2015. You've got to give a shout out to people like Davide Brivio, team manager, who's put together this unbelievably tight-knit team. Ken Kawachi and Sunichi Sahara, who've done a fantastic job with the GSX-RR. Sylvain Gintley, of course, is here working today with French TV. How much work has he done behind the scenes into this GSX-RR, which is now, without any question, the best motorcycle in MotoGP.
We've got so much to analyse coming up here, of course, discussing Joan Mir's amazing World Championship season. Family and friends all in tears for Joan Mir.
You can just see there in the background as well, Dorna CEO Carmelo Espeleta coming down to congratulate a new star in MotoGP. Great shot there as well. Just in the background, you can see there Franco Uncini with the spectacles, one of Suzuki's former MotoGP World Champions. There's Franco, just in the blue shirt there with his arms folded. I'm sure he'll be delighted. There he is, just congratulating Joan Mir there. Franco Uncini still such an important part of the backroom team here in MotoGP.
These guys can't believe it. You've got to just say...
That's Federico.
Federico, yeah.
Tom Daly, the press officer. He's lost it.
Alex Rins watching on, and he'll be one of the first men to congratulate Joan Mir at the end of this as well, and he's partly responsible for Suzuki being in the shape that it's in as well, the development that he's put into this race. The tears, the blood, sweat and tears that have gone into this season. Joan Mir's mother apparently is inconsolable. She's absolutely delighted, but happy tears for her.
Who can blame her? Who can blame her? She's seen her son give his all to get into this moment, and it's all done and dusted. He can enjoy this week, he can relax. There is the tweet we just mentioned. Marc Marquez, the outgoing MotoGP World Champion, passes on his congratulations to our new king in MotoGP.
To the left of Joan Mir there, Jack Miller, Franco Morbidelli. I've got to say, gentlemen, thank you so much. This is the greatest show. That was an unbelievable final lap. Loved it.
Yeah, like you said, Steve, you won't meet two nicer guys in the paddock than Morbidelli and Miller. What a day it's been for the M-boys. Morbidelli, Miller on the podium in a 1-2, and Mir is your world champion. Davide Brivio can relax, and a great job as well by Pol Espargaro. Let's not forget him. Third, back-to-back podiums in Valencia. He's in Parc Fermé with Simon.
Paul, another brilliant podium. Nobody can accuse you of not putting everything into your race. How hard was that one?
Yeah, it was fantastic. I'm super happy because this weekend we didn't expect to jump on the podium. Actually, we were not. I mean, we deserved that podium, but for sure Nakagami at the end was faster than us, so he for sure would be in front of us if not his mistake. Luckily, I could open a little bit the throttle and then get away of his crash, but yeah, it was a fantastic job. Again, from the limit, from the beginning till the end, riding on the pace I could and just trying to do no mistakes, and finally we could jump again on the podium in the 5th of the season. It's just unbelievable.
Great job, Paul.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely cracking ride that again by Pol Espargaro. Really did put his all into that race. There was the scare, wasn't there, when Taka Nakagami got up the inside of him at turn 14.
That result has pushed the Red Bull KTM team into 3rd overall in the team championship. Matt, my maths aren't great, but I think that we can safely say that Team Suzuki X-Star have also got the team championship wrapped up there as well.
They've had worse weeks, haven't they? And it's a dead heat at the moment in terms of the constructor battle. They're tied with Ducati, so all to play for the Triple Crown. Pit Byra there, a very richly deserved round of applause for Pol Espargaro. And I love that shot. Franco Uncini Joan Mir becomes just the 6th rider to win a Premier Class title for Suzuki. Barry Sheene did it in 1976 and 1977. Marco Lucanelli in 1981. And that man there, Franco Uncini, did it in 1982. The last time Suzuki, coincidentally, were Constructor World Champions. I'm sure watching back at home, Kevin Schwantz, the 1993 champion, he must have enjoyed that show by Jack Miller. What a ride. So close to his second win. He's in Parc Ferme with Simon.
Jack, you may not have got the win you wanted, but unreal. You can be very proud. What was it like out there?
Yeah, no, another fantastic last lap battle there with Franco. It was, you know, a lot of fun. You really enjoy it, especially on such a tight track like this with our these big bikes. To be battling like that is unreal. But yeah, again, just coming up that little bit short, but no, we can be, like you say, happy. We worked really hard all weekend and showed we had the pace throughout the whole race. Just, yeah, not much really more to say, you know, except massive congratulations to Joan and the whole Suzuki team. They deserve it, so it's awesome to see, and yeah, hopefully we can be back here in Portimao.
Congratulations to you, Jack.
Cheers, son. Thank you.
Such a classy character, Jack Miller. Mixed emotion, I guess. He came so close to that victory, but congratulating Franco Morbidelli and congratulating Suzuki and Joan Mir as well on their epic day, an unforgettable day for the Hamamatsu factory. That last lap, it was like a Moto3 scrap, wasn't it? Back in Jack Miller's days, what a show those two put on for us here today. Normally there's 100,000 fans rammed into this Ricardo Tormo circuit. Well, they'd have been on their feet watching that race. I'm sure you were at home. And what a race by Franco Morbidelli. He's now second in the World Championship, his 3rd win of the season, and he's in Parc Ferme with Simon.
Franco, that was as close to perfect weekend as possible. Please tell us about your race.
Yeah, unbelievable rhythm. I opted for the hard front because we were not sure that the medium would have lasted all race long, so I opted for that one. And yeah, I had to ride a bit differently. I was better in braking, but a little bit worse in mid-corner. So I was feeling a bit worse with this wind. I was losing the front sometimes. And finally I started also to struggle with the rear tire. And I knew that Jack was gonna come. I knew that he was gonna come. And finally, last lap, he came and I said, okay, I have no voice anymore because I yelled so much. I said, okay, I try everything to win. I will try everything to win. And after, it came out a very clean and sporty fight. And it was really nice. We passed each other sometimes in the last lap. I don't remember well how many. And finally I was able to win, but also Jack has been amazing. The pace we maintained was impressive, and I'm really impressed by this race. Generally I gave everything every lap, and finally we were able to win it. And congratulations to the team, congratulations to Jack. And yeah, unfortunately we lost the championship, but I think we did a pretty good work.
Fantastic, Frankie. Big congratulations.
Thank you. This one goes to Manolo. It's his birthday. He's a friend of mine, and I want to dedicate this victory to him because it's his birthday. So, ciao Manu.
Well, I think you made Manu very, very happy indeed. He said it was quite a good weekend. Understatement of the year. That was a sensational last lap.
This was the last lap. This is how it started. Miller made his move into turn 1, the number 43. He went in a bit deep. That allowed Morbidelli back through. Then into turn 4, Jack had a go. He didn't run it too wide on the exit of turn 4, but Morbidelli was so committed into turn 5. Great move there. As Morbidelli pointed out as well, it was so clean. It was sporting.
Yeah.
And in the end, across the line, I mean, if this is what the new generation of MotoGP riders have got on offer for us, then I cannot wait for the next few years.
Love that, love those scenes. In Petronas, Yamaha SRT, Andy Griffiths, Morbidelli's data engineer, and Stewie Miller in the celebrations, Andrea Migno, such good buddies with Franco Morbidelli. And here is your 2020 MotoGP World Champion. Congratulations to Joan Mir. He's with Simon in Parc Ferme.
Joan Mir, MotoGP World Champion. How does that sound, Joan?
Unbelievable. I don't have words to describe this emotion because it's something that for what I've been fighting for all my life and finally to get this result. At the moment I don't laugh, I cannot cry. It's a mix of emotions. I'm really happy. You can believe, no, because when you follow one dream all your life and then finally you achieve it, at the moment I don't believe what is happening, no, and I need a couple of time now, relax. I sit over there a little bit to understand what happened, because for me this is I don't have words.
Sincere congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I've got some bad news, Joan. Unfortunately, you're not going to have much time to sit over there and relax, because the world's media is in full attack mode.
This is the moment then when he crosses the line and fulfills a lifelong dream, a lifelong ambition. He's the MotoGP World Champion, and straight away, what is he, 50 metres over the line? And all the emotion comes flooding out of Joan Mir. Tears of joy. Jorge Lorenzo, of course, congratulating a Spanish and Mallorcan. I'm very proud of Joan Mir, winning Suzuki's first title for 20 years, the third Spanish rider to win in MotoGP, and the champion as well, just in his second season. That's a great point by Jorge Lorenzo. The tributes from all four corners of the globe will be pouring in for this man. We talked about Kevin Schwantz. I'm sure Kevin was back in Texas tuning in to watch this moment of history for Suzuki.
From 2008 through to 2019, it's been all about Yamahas and Hondas in the World Championship. But Suzuki's back.
Yeah, and back with a bang. As Steve mentioned, they're now the team champions as well. The triple crown up for grabs. Unforgettable scenes, unforgettable moments.
That's
there
lovely.
Is Sylvain Guintoli as well, has been working here for Canal Plus, the French TV network. He's one of the first to get to congratulate Davide Brivio. Some of the work that he's done behind the scenes, unsung hero of this GSX-RR project. I've loved the way that Joan Mir and Alex Rins have both paid tribute to the work that Sylvain Guintoli has put in to make this GSX-RR such a formidable package in MotoGP.
Well, there'll be some noise from that garage here tonight.
There's been so well, when they win, they make a racket. Imagine what it's like now they've won the World Championship, although they've got to pack up quickly and get on to Portugal, haven't they? So not a lot of time to get the Prosecco out, although I'm sure they'll manage to swig a few drops.
This is a nice moment here. He realises he's being congratulated as well by Andrea Dovizioso.
Yeah, great scenes. Scenes that will stick with him for the rest of his life. It's the realisation of a dream. Tito Rabat as well, of course. Joan Mir and Tito Rabat have become close friends in that Andorran base. And there is the golden touch for the man with the golden helmet to celebrate his MotoGP World title. Onto the podium yet again in MotoGP. Congratulations to Pol Espargaro. He fought hard for that third place. Nobody really fought much harder than Jack Miller in that race. The Aussie takes an absolutely brilliant second. But your race winner, it's Franco Morbidelli. What a last lap battle on the Petronas Yamaha SRT machine. He just got the better of Jack Miller on the Pramac Ducati, and crucially moves into second place in the World Championship. So it's Andy Griffiths then, data engineer for Petronas Yamaha SRT, that receives the constructor prize from Motul representatives, the title sponsors here in Valencia. Pol Espargaro, congratulations to him. That's his 50th career podium, of course. 6 in the MotoGP World Championship. Great job by Pol Espargaro. He's 7th in the World Championship. Our colleague Fran Wild introducing Manuel Casado, the local federation president, handing over the trophy to Jack Miller, the 25-year-old Aussie. It's his 9th MotoGP podium. He was just under a 10th away from a famous first win. Irene Lozano, the president of the Spanish Sport Council, though, hands over the race-winning trophy to Franco Morbidelli. He may not have won the World Championship, but he won an epic Valencia MotoGP race here today.
Franco Morbidelli celebrates his third victory of 2020 here in MotoGP, and that equals his teammate Fabio Quartararo. He replaces him in second in the World Championship, and the celebrations are on here. KTM on the podium once more with Pol Espargaro in back-to-back races. Miller's return since Austria, and without a doubt one of his greatest dry races as well. And just great to see all of these different manufacturers constantly taking lumps out of each other.
You knew the person on the podium that was going to take the biggest gulp of Prosecco was going to be Jack. I love it, absolutely love it. We'd have had another shoey, wouldn't we, if we'd have beaten Franco Morbidelli. You will not meet or find three nicer guys in the paddock than those three men you're looking at now on the podium here in Valencia. What a show they put on for us today. Franco Morbidelli takes the win by just 0.09 of a second from Jack Miller.
Yamaha must be thinking, my goodness, why didn't we get him on the 2020 Yamaha?
Well, or let's just roll out 4 2019 Yamahas next year.
That was my next point. The next Grand Prix, of course, is the last Grand Prix of the season. We have a new champion, but second and third still to be decided. From here in Valencia, we head over to Portimao for the first time ever. A fantastic circuit. Love the place, so will you. Watching MotoGP bikes around there is a fitting way to end a long 2020 season. So in a few days' time, we'll see you back there. This is the celebration, though, for Joan Mir. I've just seen that Kevin Schwantz on Instagram has sent his best regards and congratulated Joan Mir, of course, absolute legend. And I'm sure that more tributes will be coming through to hashtag Mir, M1R. He's done it.
Well, Suzuki, they've emerged as the team to beat in the future in MotoGP. A season which had so many twists and turns. Of course, we lost the reigning world champion Marc Marquez right from the start. That season-ending fracture to his right humerus bone. What must be going through that man's mind as well right now? Ken Kowachi, Team Suzuki X-Star technical manager. All the work that he's put in back in Hamamatsu. The sacrifices that the Japanese engineers across all factory teams this year have made. They've not been able to go home since the middle of July with the travel restrictions because of COVID-19, but it will all be worthwhile now as Suzuki are back as MotoGP world champions for the first time in 2 decades.
MotoGP world champion is ready to come out. He is the first Red Bull rookie to take the Premier Class crown, the first Moto3 champion to take the Premier Class crown, and the first Suzuki rider to do it in 20 years. Please welcome, Joan Mir!
Well, take it away, Fran Wild. She said everything, didn't she? Here is your 2020 MotoGP world champion, then Joan Mir coming to the podium celebrations here. They'll be partying long into the night then. He's the 6th Suzuki rider to win the MotoGP world title. It's a great day to be in blue here in Valencia. And X-Star Suzuki have a new superstar, and he goes by the name of Joan Mir.
He has shown how the road to MotoGP works anyway. That is for sure. Don't drink too much of that, Joan. You've got a lot of interviews to get through in the next couple of hours.
We don't want to be any slurring of the speeches. What a moment. Soak it up, savour it.
We have a new world champion in the Premier Class. There is his mum, absolutely delighted, and there will be some scenes in Valencia here tonight. Great for him to, of course, get this done on home soil as well. Amazing job. And when you think, Matt, this all sort of started, didn't it, in Austria? I think the neutrals started to believe. This is nice as well. Davide Brivio just popping out. There's not enough. In fact, they've used up all of the Prosecco. I'm sure there's a few extra bottles kicking around.
Yeah, I'm sure they've got quite a few in the fridge ready to celebrate late into the night.
It was in Austria where he picked up his first podium of the year, and of course that race in Styria, Matt, where he was, and he should have been on the top step. I think it was then that everyone started believing, hang on, Joan Mir's a championship contender here.